All right, jabronis, we're back. Hope everyone had a good week. I know I sure did. Well, had a good weekend because we went to SummerSlam in Vegas. So we'll talk about that later in the Junction because that's a truly, truly remarkable place. So that's kind of what I want to discuss in the Junction so everyone can be, enlightened to what goes on around those parts. But as far as work goes and other life things, it's been, still busy, stressful, hectic. If you've been living under a rock for the past, I don't know how long, 2 weeks now, there's the situation going on in Afghanistan still, the withdrawal. So that's been keeping us very busy and always on high alert, getting shit done, trying to take out the trash, if you will. I did want to make mention, this is the only thing I'll say about it for the rest of the show for this episode. There was the attacks you saw. If you haven't been living under a rock, I'm sure you've seen the news of the attack that happened near the base that our people are at, our guys are at, the one base left. It was an ISIS attack. I think suicide bomber killed, at the time of this recording, 13 U.S. Military members with several, I think over a dozen injured. Not sure their status is at this point, but just think about that. That's going on. I know in our neck of the woods currently, in our little bubbles of safety and freedom and comfort, it's very easy to forget what else is going on around the world that's affecting other people, other U.S. people, other Americans and their families. And their families, by the way, are just two bubbles down from you, two comfort zones down from you, potentially. And they're living in a completely different, nightmarish situation, losing their loved ones. So please think about that, as you go about your daily lives. That's a serious situation going on over there. And there's really no reason we should be continuing to lose lives at that magnitude, really at all. I mean, this is the first time we've lost an American military life in Afghanistan in almost 2 full years. So let that sink in as well. But think about them and their families and the people still out there dealing with this shit show that's going on. It's not a pretty picture. And yet these folks continue to volunteer. Another big takeaway is these folks in uniform are volunteering to go out there and take care of business each and every day, whether they agree with the situation or not. And now we got more people losing their lives over it. So think about them and their families and remember that, please, before you do anything during your day. It's very easy to forget that serious, dark shit is going on around us on a regular basis, and it's affecting others. So remember that, please. Now, let's get to a more lighter note. Let's get back to the task at hand here that we like to do in the LPDS, which is entertain and educate. Get those double wins in for you. So with that, we'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by James Dugan's over-the-counter chlamydia treatment. Every man about town eventually finds themselves in that rascally predicament of acquiring chlamydia from a lady of the night. Well, now with James Dugan's OTC treatment, it's easier than ever to avoid that dastardly disease. Endorsed by world-renowned sexual deviant Anthony Rigatoni, Dugan's is guaranteed to work or your money back. So to get your treatment today, visit www.avoidtheclap.com and use the promo code RockfordPeach for 5% off your first treatment dose, what have you. Well, there you go. I think the ad speaks for itself. Any gentleman who has explored the dark underbelly of the world, if you will, I'm sure has dealt with the clap a time or two. So you want to go take care of that. Apparently, Mr. Dugan's got the cure. Go check it out. And and Tony Riggs decided to slap himself in there like the sexual deviant that he is, apparently. So good for him. Always hustling. That Tony Riggs is always hustling. Anyway, the Cage fact. All right, so I was doing some digging on his Academy Award-winning movie, Leaving Las Vegas. That's a big one for him so far, at least as far as winning awards go. He won the Oscar for that one. I personally think they're all big ones. But anyway, Cage played the character called Ben Sanderson. Now, Ben Sanderson is based sort of loosely, but more so than not, on the writer of the original book, John O'Brien. And we'll get into more future facts regarding John O'Brien and Leaving Las Vegas, later on. But Cage played Ben Sanderson in the movie. Now, what ended up happening, which was coincidental, nobody did it on purpose. Nick Cage didn't do this on purpose, but he ended up in the movie as the character wearing the same exact watch and driving the same model BMW that John O'Brien did in real life. And it wasn't until the movie came out that O'Brien's family, made note of that. Like, hey, good work on the watch and the car. And he was like, I didn't do it on purpose. It was a complete accident. And Nick Cage actually said it was rather creepy that it kind of played out that way, because usually Nick Cage does stuff like that on purpose, and the way it just eerily all fell together was very strange. And I'm sure there's some further explanation and theory that Nick Cage has of how the cosmic universe and his animal brothers were the ones behind it all. But if I can find that interview, I'll certainly bring that up in a Cage fact in the future. But there you go. That's the fact. There you have it. So moving on to the junction, spinning the logo. We went to Las Vegas, as you know, for SummerSlam 2021. Me, myself, and Bud the Bone Crusher Maloney. I mentioned that last week, and now we're going to talk about it. And this is not one of those like revealing stories of Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, all that bullshit. Like, we're not going to talk about sexcapades or any illegal or illicit activities that went on. Ironically, none of that happened. It was if we're talking about doing Vegas or, taking advantage of Vegas, we did not really do that. And not because we're losers or that we forgot. We had an intent behind our visit. We had an agenda that we needed to complete, and we wanted to complete, and we completed it. And we had a good time doing it. The other stuff that you normally get into in Vegas was not on our original plan. It was more of like hey, if we got the time and we feel like doing it, we'll do it. And we didn't. None of that happened, which is fine. We'll do it again some other time. Vegas will always be there. That's the greatest thing about the land of freaks and toots, is that it'll always be there for you when you need to go back home to mama. So we get there. Now, mind you, we get there on a Thursday night. We have an intention behind everything we're doing. It's very methodical, for lack of a better term. We were going to get in pretty late at night out there, maybe grab a snack, a bite to eat, and then hit the snoozer, get up early Friday, crush a legitimate workout. I actually had to continue doing my training runs, and I had a 12-mile run that I had to knock out before the weekend ended. So that's what our plan was. We're going to do this shit. We're going to stay disciplined, stay on task, knock out our training workouts, and then go about our day. And I'll talk about the day in a little bit. But before we even get to Friday, We get there Thursday night, and within, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes of checking into the hotel and leaving to go get food. By the way, we just went next door to Caesar's Palace, to his place, to get whatever was open, grab some food. I think we got like tacos or some shit. I don't remember. But on the way over there, on the walkway, the walking path they had to get over the street, there was this guy. And this is one of, and we're going to go into other examples of what makes Vegas so great and what makes it like such a, man, I don't even know the term. God damn it. I got to think of a good phrase to describe this place. Just full of fucking freaks. Sorry, Terrence. I know, family show, but we're talking about Las Vegas here, so put the kid away. But man, the different genres of cartoonish character weirdos in this city, in this town, is mind-boggling. I mean, talk about endless content that you can create just being out there and observing, watching the folks and the things in the wild, if you will. Just incredible. And this guy we saw right off the bat was no exception. In any other town, city, if he was in New York City, he would just be a vagrant, a bum, a nobody. But this guy has got, I don't know if he had a cowboy hat on. He had a hat on. He had a sleeveless shirt, like a cut sleeve at the shoulder, weirdo type. And he had like a Troubadour's amplifier that he had wrapped around himself that was connected to a microphone. And then he had a hat on the ground to take tips. Now you're thinking, like, when people do that, they usually have some sort of minor talent. You know, we saw a couple guys throughout the weekend that play drums on like the bottoms of buckets, 5-gallon buckets. And it sounds pretty cool, even though you're just hitting buckets with sticks. Sometimes it makes a good rhythm and it's worth $1, maybe. Not for me, but for other people. So I get that. But this guy just, you think he had some talent. You would be wrong, because this is fucking jabroni. All he did was pull up his phone and like essentially do karaoke. He was getting the music from his phone. The amp, the audio equipment he had was just for his microphone, which was very strange because it wasn't even that loud of a microphone. You could barely hear him unless you walked by him, right by him. Nowhere else. Within 5 feet you had to be. So I don't know what the hell was going on with that. But all he did was have his phone on, playing a song on like YouTube, and then had the lyrics popped up, and he was essentially doing street karaoke. And his voice sucked. He was not, it was like me with a Hispanic accent doing street karaoke of a song I never heard of before. The only words we heard were, shit, what the hell were they? It was like, Tears for Another Day. He kept saying that. Tears for Another Day. And he sucked at it. And we walked by him twice within probably 2 hours of each other. We walked by once when we were going to get food at Palace's. And then again, after we did a walk through Palace's, we got our food and we were headed back to the Bellagio where our hotel was, where we were staying. And both times he's singing the same song. Same, almost the same, like it seemed like the same verse too, because the lyrics were the same. Senior, tears for another day. That's it. That's all I remember because that's all he sang. And I don't know if he was on a repeat or if he was having a stroke or what, but that's all we got out of him. So we're thinking, okay, this guy's a weirdo freak. Great. I love freaks. I'm all for him. Good. We got one down. How many more else are we going to see? Remember that guy, okay? Remember him. Now we get back to the Bellagio. We're inside. We're walking through the casino, doing a quick how you doing before we hit the sack to go, make sure we get up early enough to go train. Right off the bat, as soon as we get through the casino, we see an obvious toot. An obvious toot. And toot, for those of you who don't pay attention to Chris Stefano, great comedian from New York, those are prostitutes, pros, hook daddies, ladies of the night, if you will. Women that may or may not have a high likelihood of requiring you to get James Dugan's OTC treatment afterwards, if you catch my drift. Now, this lady was by herself, good-looking dame, very tall, wearing red bottom shoes, walking by herself. There's not many females in Vegas that are walking by themselves that are not Tutes. They're just not. They're usually, with groups of gals or with their significant other or what have you. Usually the good-looking solo artists are pros. And I have nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. But that's what kind of made it obvious. What really made it obvious, and this is rather embarrassing, but as we were walking by this woman of the night, she looked at us and actually acknowledged us. We didn't say hi to her. Crusher and I walked by, and she looked over and she goes, "Oh, hi, boys." Now, for guys like Crusher, that might be a normal occurrence in his day where beautiful babies talk to him and reach out to him and say hello, greeting, smile, how you doing, whatever. For absolute caricatures like myself, when I'm out in the wild, that doesn't happen, okay? So immediately that popped a red flag in my mind that something was up with this woman. This was not someone who was interested in having a conversation or meeting up for a date or doing whatever. This lady had an agenda, and it was quite clear what that was. It was to burn holes in our pockets and, withstand doing mediocre sex with us for 5 minutes to get our money. Now, to confirm this, because I said this to Crusher, as soon as she said hi, I was like, "Oh, that's a toot." And he's like, "Well, why do you feel that way?" And I had to explain to him that my history of women of good-looking nature walking by and saying hello to me is very rare, very rare. So percentage-wise, that's how you keep situational awareness, understand your surroundings, and know that you're dealing with something out of the ordinary. So told him that. Now, after we talked, while we're talking about that, we sort of have our eye on her now. Now our radars are up, and we want to see if there's any sort of actual confirmation that this is a working gal doing the oldest profession on earth, or whatever that saying is. We're walking through. We're try to keep it natural. I don't know how natural we looked, because you know how, like, in your brain, everything is all copacetic and good to go. And you're like, "Oh yeah, nobody's noticing anything out of the ordinary. We're all fine and dandy." And then in reality, like what the outside world sees is a complete circus act. Well, it could have very well have been that. I don't know. I thought we were doing a very good job keeping a low profile, just doing a standard walk around. There were plenty of other freaks and weirdos out there on the floor, highlighting themselves to keep eyes off of us so that the radars were not blipping on us. They were staying on the freaks and the high rollers and the what have yous. So I thought we were doing a good job. She didn't seem to notice us again either, which was also, pretty good for us. We end up getting towards our elevator. By the way, the Bellagio, all these resorts and casinos are fucking huge. Okay? You're getting your steps in when you're walking around these bad boys. And it took us about 30 to 35 minutes to navigate through the Bellagio to get to the correct tower of elevators to get us to our room. We went to about one or two different elevator shaft towers, how you doing, to finally figure out we were in the wrong ones, and we had to keep walking around. We walked the entire, length of that damn building before we found our way back. But we did. Anyway, that's not the point. Shut up, Libretti. Stop digressing. So we keep following this. She's on her periffs, the lady of the night. We get to our hotel elevator, our room elevator shaft, like the building. And we're like we got our radar on her. She's still walking solo, okay? We did not lose custody of the suspect, the unsub, if you will, for the entire time. There was maybe a couple of gaps of 2 to 3 seconds where she was not within visual range, and then we got her right back locked in on the radar. Within that time frame, within one of those gaps, those 2-second gaps, she went from walking solo. We do a blink. We look over at our elevator, see, we confirm it's ours. That's a 2-second operation. You look, you confirm, you're back over looking for the lady of the night again, getting eyes on target. We get eyes on. Within that 2-second window, she goes from solo to having a guy. Picked up a dude, and they're walking to the other elevator entryway to get up to his room to go do sex for money. And if that wasn't the most confirming evidence that we were dealing with the lady of the night on night one, then I don't know what is confirming anymore. I don't know what lawyer would take that case. And that's all I have to say about the toot. She was a toot. I called it from the beginning. Crusher knew it as well, and we confirmed it by doing our own little investigative research. Now, we're on to Friday. This is Thursday night. We just stepped foot into the universe of Las Vegas, the Freaks and Toots universe. And we're immediately dealing with Freaks and Toots. Not even 24 hours in the place. Not even an hour in the place, really. It took us longer to walk through the damn Bellagio than it was to find a freak and a toot. So anyway, we're on to Friday. We knock out the workout. I did 12 stupid fucking miles on a goddamn treadmill like an absolute psychopath mental case with no headphones, like a mental case. But we got it done. Crusher crushed a workout, for lack of a better term. Got his shit done. And now we were ready to go. Did we hit the pool? I don't even remember. We were going to this thing called WrestleFest, which was like a little convention. How you doing? That there were apparently going to be some older, smaller name wrestlers and some raffles and some other things going on at this bar over in OG Vegas, original Vegas on Fremont Street. So we hopped a cab over to there in the middle of the day. And I don't know if you've ever been to Vegas, but Fremont Street is way more my speed. It's a lot more blue collar. I'll get into that a little later when we talk about our evening, Saturday evening at Fremont and the freaks that we saw there. Anyway, we get to this bar. It's called the Nerd Bar. Real quick side story on the Nerd Bar. The guy who owns it, we were schmoozing, working the crowd, if you will. And we get to talking to the owner. Guy's a couple years older than us. He, believe it or not, grew up in Maryland and went to the same high school as the Crusher and only graduated 2 years before him. So that at one point they were in school together. This guy leaves Maryland, grows his hair out to a very creepy porno, sex predator looking length, opens this bar called the Nerd Bar, and now he's got these conventions that he has where wrestlers come in and other celebrities come in on a regular basis, which is very cool because we ended up getting a lot of free drinks out of that by, learning about this piece of information, this piece of intel. So that was cool. But we get there. They got a couple of small name old wrestlers. They got a couple of folks that are newer in the game, made it up to the top for a little bit, and then they fell off, like a couple of folks. If you ever heard of AEW wrestling, there was a ex-AEW wrestler there. That was pretty cool. That's an up-and-coming competitor to WWE. Again, this is for those of you not in the wrestling world, like the Crusher and I are. More so the Crusher. He's really the expert. But so we see all these folks, and then in the center of the ring, if you will, was the big man himself, Booker T. Now, most people, whether you follow wrestling currently or not, know about Booker T. He's a top tier Hall of Famer in the WWE game. He's a big timer. There are not a lot of wrestlers around the WWE universe that you can say their name and everybody recognizes. Hulk Hogan, Goldberg, maybe. I don't know about him, but Hulk Hogan for sure. Ric Flair is another one. And Booker T really is on that list of guys. There's obviously more, but we got to see him. I snagged a picture. I'll put it up here. He was actually, they were doing official photos with him for like $40, $50. I didn't want to spend that kind of scuttle, so we decided to sneak pics like the cheap pieces of shit we are, and I snagged a pic of him, and then we went about walking around talking to these other folks. One of the guys, and I'll put his Instagram in the caption of the YouTube video, so you can go and check him out. And I'll try to tag him on Instagram, the Instagram page, and some stuff. But there's this guy out there going by. He was self-proclaimed the #1 Macho Man impersonator, and his handle is Macho Man, but it's spelled MOTCHO, and then man, I think is MANN. So slight variation. But this guy was spot on with the Macho Man impression. He had the look. He had the voice. He had pretty decent size. I think he was an older guy who was telling us about he stopped taking steroids for a while, so he got a little smaller. But he's going to get back on a regimen and get big again, so he can look the part for people, whoever hires him for impersonations and how you doings. But one of the things that really made him the #1 impersonator was that he was able to do the Macho Man chin thing, where you jut your chin out, and I can't do it. I can't even get close to it. It's a very, very unique capability, and Macho nailed it. Impersonator Macho nailed it. So mad respect to him. I bought a pair of weirdo shades from him. He got a picture with, the Crusher got a picture with him, and we talked to him. We BS with him for about an hour or so, just smoking and joking with Mach. So that was awesome. Then we're talking. This is crazy. This sequence of events was one of the best of the weekend, I think. It wasn't crazy, Vegas crazy, where it's like we meet, this high-end celebrity like Mike Tyson who gives us cocaine, and then we go and rage and we fight. We have cockfights in the back room of some place. It's nothing like that. But for me, anyway, I can't really speak for Crusher, but for me, this was a crazy sequence of events that really culminated in something spectacular for us. So bear with me, follow here, fellas. We meet this other dude. He's not part of the convention. He's just another guy like us, out and about, going to meet wrestlers and what have yous. And we're drinking with him. 6'8" guy. He's a big guy, prior football player. Now he's just a fan of wrestling and a local of the area, local of Vegas. Excuse me. We're talking to him. We're smoking and joking. We're drinking. We're getting the free drinks like crazy. Mad shots. I'm getting banged up real bad out there at this bar, but we press. We find out that this guy he's the manager of that touristy zip line thing they have on Fremont Street. So again, if you've ever been there, if you look up on Fremont Street, there's the zip line thing that goes almost the entire length, several blocks across. It's like a minute-long actual zip line. How you doing? And he's the manager of it. And we were just talking to him about how, Crusher and I, we were thinking about going up there and because it looked pretty cool. Why the hell not? And he's like, you want to go right now? We're like, how much is it? He goes, I get you in for free. We're like, yep, we're going. So we tell the bartender, hey, we'll be right back so we can get to the raffle. Keep the shots coming. We'll be right back. We'll be back in 10 minutes or whatever. Because it's right outside from where the bar was, right out there. So we walk out. As we're walking out, we come across this very, how do I say this? A very, like a troll-looking creature, okay? He looked like a troll. He was like a dark-skinned Danny DeVito with like a big, fat troll honker. He dressed like a cartoon. He had jorts on that went down to his shins. Now, these jorts were probably for someone who was maybe 5'7" or taller, 5'8" or taller. And he was maybe 5'2", 5'1", little short, stout fella, like a real round ball, like a penguin, Oswald Cobblepot type, wearing clothes that are way too big for him. He's carrying this old school championship belt, the wrestling belt. So once we see that, we move in for the kill to have the conversation, because that's the name of the game when you're out there, is you meet freaks and you get connections. You work the crowd, you get connections. And right now we're working on now our third connection here. And what ended up happening was this guy going by the handle of, what the fuck was it? It was like Tough Guy Tony, Tantalizing Tony. Tantalizing Tony. He didn't look like a Tony. He looked like a Rolf or something. So Tantalizing Rolf is out there. He's got this belt, and he's got a guy filming him like he's a content creator, like he's a big shot. He's talking like a big shot. He's walking like a big shot. He's looking like Oswald Cobblepot. So we naturally had to talk to this guy. So it's three of us. It's myself, it's Crusher, it's Big J, the zipline manager guy. We're walking in like tough guys, all wearing wrestling type shirts. I got my Big Trouble Ben Bishop tank on. Crusher is rocking some Roman Reigns shit. Big J is rocking some other wrestling shit. I forgot what it was. So when Tough Guy Tantalizing Rolf sees us, he knows we're part of the crew, which is another great thing about the World Wrestling Entertainment crew, the WWE crew, the fans. It's like a big family. I'll get into that later. Anyway, we meet Tantalizing Rolf. We see the belt. We're like, hey, can we hold the belt? And he's like, yeah, I'm about to film cutting some promos and shit talking on promos. Now, again, if you don't follow the wrestling world, a promo, which some of you on the LPDS should know already from our time at WrestleMania, is when you're either doing a fake, an interview, or you're just recording, riffing, and really just going after your enemies, talking shit to an enemy, challenging them to something, doing whatever you got to do. Just, it's cutting a promo. It's a wrestling promo. This guy wants to cut a promo. He, with his little man syndrome, goes right after Big J, 6'8" dude, ex-football player. He's got a bullhorn nose ring. He's got the Lawrence Tower dangly, how you doing, out of his ear. This guy's a dangerous looking fella, Big J, and Tantalizing Rolf is all in. He wants the big cheese for this promo. I think I filmed part of it. I don't know if I have it. If I still have the video, I'll post it on the Instagram page. I put it on the story initially, but you'll see it's this little short fatso going after this tall guy, going after him pretty hard. I think he was talking about how like his parents had sex and that's why he's so tall. Didn't make any sense. And then he confidently declared himself the victor without even listen. Like he cut his promo, and before Big J can even say anything, he declared himself the victor and then walked his little tiny short fat ass away, walled away into the sunset. Crazy. We had to take it all in. Meanwhile, we got shots waiting for us at the bar. We got zip line we got to go throw up on. So we get going. We get up there, do the zip line. It's literally 45 seconds. Really not bad, but we couldn't find out it's like $60 a piece. Thank God we didn't pay for that shit, because $60 for a 45-second, swing down a zip line would not have been worth it. Thank God for Big J hooking us up. So now we got free shots. We meet Big J. We get free zip line. On the way to free zip line, we have an electric promo cut fight between a tall adult-looking guy and a short, fat, troll-looking creature. All right. Tantalizing Tony comes back, by the way. Stay with me, fellas. We go back to the nerd bar. Right as we're getting back, we get shots, we get more drinks, and right as we start taking these shots, here comes Booker T. He's done for the day. He's about to leave, and all of a sudden, he's walking right by us. Right by us. We get out. He comes. He sees us. He locks eyes with the three amigos, the three caballeros, and we shake his hand. Now, I know none of you guys give a shit. To you, that doesn't mean absolute dick at all. It's just some guy who plays in a man action soap opera thing in a fake wrestling garbage, shook your hand. So what? But I'm telling you, for someone like myself, and I think I could speak for the Crusher on this one, this was a big deal for us. We got to shake hands with one of the all-time greats in wrestling history, Booker T. Everybody knows who he is. Go look up Booker T on YouTube. You know who he is. He's one of the kings of shit talking and challenges and cutting promos and dropping bombs on Hulk Hogan. He's one of the best to ever do it. We got to shake his hand after we ziplined, after we met Tantalizing Troll Tony, after we met Macho Man. Now to top it off, this, and I showed you the picture on the story. I'll pop it up again so you can see it again up here. But Michael Jackson comes back from the dead. This MJ impersonator who played the part rather well, almost too well, in fact. It was a little unnerving. Comes out of nowhere, just shows up at the bar. And I don't know if it's because I'm a little guy, so I look like a kid, like I'm kid size, and I don't really act like an adult, and I'm the size of a child. He took a liking to me, but I got a picture with him. Kept mentioning something about taking me to his ranch. I don't know what that meant. I was too drunk. I was almost on board for it. Thankfully, it didn't happen. But I got a picture with the great one, MJ, the king. So I'll post that up there so you can see it again. But I love that. That's a great shot of a great guy. I think in the background is Booker T before he left. But anyway, we're not even done with Friday. Okay, we're in the afternoon. Okay, so real quick recap: 12-mile run plus a /2-hour workout session for Crusher in the morning, early morning. We don't really eat much. We just grab a snack. We hit the WrestleFest. We get free drinks all around. We meet Macho Man, other folks. Christy Janes she was the AEW wrestler. She was awesome. We meet the owner of the bar who went to the same high school as Crusher. We get drunk. We go to Zipline. On the way to Zipline, we meet the troll. He cuts some weird promo, disappears into the night. Okay? Get to the Zipline. Don't throw up. We're still drunk, though. We're banged up. Get back. We meet Michael Jackson, and we get to shake hands with the Booker T, and then we drink more for free. We didn't pay a dime for drinks. I even bought I think the only thing I paid for was the personal pizza that we had as a snack at the bar. We get back to the room about, 4:00 p.m. to shower and kind of hit the snoozer for a bit because at night we have a reservation for the buffet, the famous buffet at Caesar Palace's. So we wanted to make sure that we were ready to go for that. We hit the snoozer and we sleep through. I randomly wake up. It's 9:15 at night, and I look at Crusher and I said, "Hey, what time is our reservation?" He goes, "It's at 9:15." I go, "We're fucking late, buddy." I don't know what the hell happened. We both slept through our alarms. We were banged the fuck up. So we had to scramble. We got to change out of whatever the hell we were wearing, wrestling costumes, to get into actual clothes, to run over to Palace's. Luckily, it was right next door to get to the buffet. Okay? So now we're on the move. We get to the walkway. And I shit you not, that fucking weirdo freak karaoke singer is still there wearing the same clothes, singing the same song at the same moment of the song. I swear to God, the Matrix just shorted out and the guy was on repeat for the whole 2 days that we were there. Like the whole 2 days we were there. Seen saving your tears for another day. That's all we know. I don't even know that song. I can't even go back to reference a song. I guess I could Google like just those lyrics to see what pops up and see if that's the song. I don't even know if he was singing the right tune to it. He was on repeat. He was stroking out. There was something wrong with him, but we didn't have time to address it. We just had to run past to get to the buffet. And it wasn't until we actually sat down and started eating to where we finally realized, I don't know why I said eating like an asshole, eating. When we finally realized, hey, was that guy singing the same song again in the same exact spot in the same lyrics? That's when it came to us. Like, yeah, he was. And it must have been maybe the food replenished us and got our brains functioning again. But we made it in time. Buffet was incredible. It had, I cannot stress this enough. It had everything you can possibly want at dinner. You want sushi? They got it. Prime rib? Got it. Wagyu beef? Got it. Burger Daddies? Got it. Vegetarian garbage? Got it. You want a whole smorgasbord of dessert daddies? Yeah, they got it too. Well worth the money. I wish we did it on a different day or when we weren't so drunk and banged up, because I would have stayed there all day just crushing it. It was delicious. Fantastic. Good work. That was a recommendation by Nikki Sticks, so thank you for the rec, Sticks. Good job on that one. I go back to Vegas. We're going back to Palace's Buffet. By the way, we're not even at SummerSlam yet. This is just the first full day we're there. And it's just freaks and toots all over the place. It was wild. So now we finally get to the day of SummerSlam. All right? We pregame. We get another workout in. You got to stay disciplined. We get a quick workout in just to burn off a couple calories, get a quick pump, looking good. Then we hit the pool for a bit to get a good base tan and enjoy the scenery there. There was one lady, older lady, maybe in her 60s, 50s, 60s. She was the human shape of Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. Okay, now I know I joke about that when it comes to my father, JPL3, but this is what the illustrators of Monsters, Inc. looked at when they drew Mike Wazowski, at least the shape of him. It was just like a weird, tiny little ballish looking thing, like a tiny pear, and just like flailing weird appendages. And she was wearing like 4-inch wedges. And she was dripping with confidence, dripping with it, as if she was like Marissa Tomei, my cousin Vinny Tomei, walking through this pool area, and all eyes are on her. No eyes were on her, except for Crushers and I, because it was a scene, man. But she had this smirk on her face, and the way she walked and flailed her weird alien monster appendages, she just, in her brain, in her world, in her bubble, she was my cousin Vinny Mercer. She was Mona Lisa Vito, the hottest thing going. And she gave Crusher this I fuck me look, or I'll fuck you look, like I've never seen before from a woman. Certainly not at me. No woman in my life that even I dated ever looked at me the way this fucking broad looked at Crusher. 2 times, by the way. She did it going to get drinks, and then on her way back when she wallowed over, she gave it to him again. And then she gave me this look like, yeah, I'm going to have your boy. Like that. You see your friend over there? I'm having him. I'm wearing him. And I mean, we didn't even exchange words, Crusher and I. She walked by. We just looked at each other and we're just like, what? What did we just see? We just saw a legitimate famous cartoon character. I raped the shit out of my best friend. my brother. Wild start to the day. Wild start. We're not even at Slam yet, guys. We didn't even make it to fucking SummerSlam yet. SummerSlam, not Slummer. We were slumming it, though. Anyway, so we're done with that. We finally get to SummerSlam. It's at the Allegiant Stadium. That thing is a Death Star. It's a black arena stadium in the middle of the desert. You can't miss it. It's one of the more impressive things I've seen in a while. Jet black Death Star looking spacecraft. Like it looks like the compound or the home base of an evil emperor, like a Darth Vader type would live in, or Dr. Evil. Just crazy looking place. Very cool. Get into SummerSlam. We have a great time, by the way. We're walking around. Now, we got there early so that we can get inside, get food, hang out a bit, take it all in before the events start, because that's what we like to do. We don't like to, we don't like to miss any of the fights, any of the matches. So we like to get in early, take our time. So we're walking around, okay? We get around the corner, and who do we see inside wearing the same exact clothes that are 4 to 5 sizes too big for him? Was Tantalizing Tough Guy Tony, the little fat troll who was clearly still coming off his victory of the promo, his self-proclaimed promo cut and shit-talking victory. And he's got his entourage there again. He's cutting more videos. He recognized us, by the way. He's cutting the video. In the middle of him trying to cut another video, we, again, lock eyes. We seize the opportunity to re-engage with the freak, if you will. And I say freak in the most positive, best light, because I love them. There's nothing. I have no problem with the freaks out there. I'm a big fan. I could easily see myself being a freak if I ever lived there. Anyway, we lock eyes. We seize the opportunity. We go up to him. He gives us dabs and does his thing where he's talking about, his entourage and how he's trying to cut videos and make sure we follow his page and yada, yada, yada. He goes into, I don't know how he did it. He looks like he has almost zero success going for him because the way he's dressed and looking, whatever. He has his own box, his own designated box seats for all the Tantalizing Tonys to go hang out in. And he's in there, and he's outside of the box, out the window. He's flipping, making it rain with business cards for everyone to go check out his YouTube channel. And it says, Tantalizing Tony, I have a card. Maybe I'll take a picture and put it up so you guys can follow him. He's a creature. And he's a real character, a real creature. God love him. So we go to Slam. We actually have great seats. Crusher scored us great seats, so we had a really good time. We got to see everything. We were right next to the entryway where the guys were walking out. So they walked out right in front of us, and we were behind them up high up. So you couldn't see us on camera, but we saw the wrestlers right there, and it was pretty awesome. The fans were also great. I talked earlier about the WWE faithful, the crowds. They're a fan base that you're really like a big, huge family. And it's very strange how it works out. But no matter where you go, what actual wrestling event you go to, whether it's full-on WWE at the top or it's one of those independents that we went to, the ACW Adrenaline Wrestling that we went to in Maryland, where I talked about those animals, which was awesome, or anywhere you go, any event, any location, anybody who is a fan of pro wrestling, I have yet to see like a violent or negative altercation occur out there. It's always one big happy family. Even if you see them out in bars, if somebody's wearing a wrestling shirt at the airport, we saw it. We got it a ton of times. Crusher was getting comments on his John Cena costume and his D-Generation X pants that he was rocking, his track pants. Like everybody was all positive, giving high fives, fist bumps, clapping, just a real good, positive crowd. Something you really don't see in any other event, any other sporting or entertainment type event is the positivity, the good family aspect you get with the crowd, which you can hate wrestling all you want, but you got to respect that. Okay? You got to respect the positivity going around with these crowds. It was a fun event, and we had a good time. We enjoyed it. The stadium was unbelievable. So great job by the WWE faithful on that one. So now we're not done yet, by the way. The night's not over. The event gets done around 8, 9 o'clock at night, Vegas time. What is that, Pacific Mountain? I don't remember. So we got plenty of night left. And I thought we made the good decision to go back to. So we had to make a decision: stay on the Strip or go back to Fremont. And we decided in the 11th hour, back to Fremont Street, where the blue collar freaks are, because that was our crowd. If you haven't gone to Vegas, you got to check out Fremont Street when you go. That's my favorite part. I like the Strip. It's very cool. A lot of awesome things to do. Spent some time checking it out, but Fremont's where I belong. That is the blue collar dungeon that I truly belong in my life, I feel, because I was having a great time out there. So we go back out there. We go back to the Nerd Bar because they were having more of the wrestlers hang out. They actually had, I don't know if you guys know this, but Clay Guida, he's a UFC fighter. He's been around for years. He's like almost 40 years old. He's been wrestling or has been UFC fighting forever. He just lost his fight, but him and his family and his entourage went to this bar, the Nerd Bar, to drink it off and hang out, I guess. So it was cool to see him. Despite his loss, he didn't seem mad at it. He was not like being an asshole or anything at all. So that was very cool and respectful of him. And that was cool to see him. Anyway, we're getting more free drinks, by the way. We're at the bar, and for whatever reason, it was a big crowd. It ended up getting very crowded very quickly at this bar, which was good for us because there was more people watching to see all the clownery going on. We see these guys. Now, I'm going to describe them individually. I'm going to try to describe them. I'm not going to do them justice. I'm going to screw this one up because there's really no good way to describe these absolute characters that we saw in there. So one of these guys walks in. We called him Tony, okay? Because he looked like he would be friends with Tony Riggs for sure, okay? He's wearing these black slacks, these dress pants that you get at like TJ Maxx, that if you're going to interview for an assistant manager position at like a Best Buy or like a B&H, some sort of store like that, where you have to pretend to dress nice, but you really don't have to dress nice because you're not really doing anything of import. That's what these pants were like, these black slacks. Then he was wearing a button-down shirt. It was like a dress shirt. It wasn't silk. It certainly wasn't real silk, but it was like that silky imitation shirt or whatever. Long, okay? A button, clearly too long for him. He was a skinny fella, by the way. Pretty tall, taller than me anyway, so maybe regular height. Wearing this thing, it's half tucked into his pants, and then it's draping out down, it goes down to his mid-thigh, closer to his knee, the other half of the shirt, because it was super long. He's got his sleeves rolled up. He's got 6 buttons unbuttoned. I think he's got a guinea tee underneath, some chains, and he's wearing a Trump MAGA hat, not a red one, a white one, a weird trucker hat that he must have gotten at some like Fremont Street hut, some, whack job selling them for money for cocaine. Hello, cocaine. And he's got it on. He's got the hat on over one ear and under another, and it's like slanted and tilted. And he's looking like an absolute character, and he's walking around doing one of these with his hands. So all of these in podcast land who can't see, he's like doing the praying hands, where it's look like he's just looking at a snack that he's about to devour. And he keeps doing that, and he's walking around, and he does the whole like grabbing his chin when he's checking out chicks at the bar, like he's going to make a move on them. And then every time he walks by Crusher and I, he makes some comment like we're boys. Not a negative comment like he's shit talking us or anything, but like these comments like, did you see that ass? That's what I'm talking about. Like we're part of the same posse. And I mean, I didn't answer. Crusher responded, and I think it was just to keep the guy coming back for the entertainment purposes. But he was a seedy individual altogether. Now enter character number 2. This guy, another Guido type, another absolute Guido. Both of these were. Tony was a Guido. He wasn't like some white trash. He was Guido trash. Okay, and there's a difference. There's a very distinct difference. He was definitely Guido trash. The other guy, number 2, he was, okay, I don't know how to describe this guy. Shit. Guido trash, not so much trash as more as like Guido sleaze, like a greasy, sleazy, super Guido type. He's wearing a V-neck. He's wearing some nice pants. I think they were like dark pressed dungarees and like some dress shoes. And he's got all the jewelry on to make it look like he's nice and flashy, but like a classy flash, even though he wasn't classy at all. This was all bargain brand, fake jewelry, Italian horns, what have you, coming out of the V-neck. He looked like 100% looked like he was a cousin of mine. We called him Carmine, by the way. I forgot to mention that. We got Tony and Carmine. Crusher came up with that. Carmine was the character in question. And he looked like me if I was an action figure, if I was a 5'7" action figure made out of plastic and you put me in a microwave and turned it on and just let it melt for maybe like 16 to 17 seconds and it melts down and we get like a 5'3" short, stockier recreation or I guess product out of that microwave melting. That's what Carmine was. He looked like me, but like a melted stunt double version of me, an understudy of me with some hair. He had like a buzz cut going. That's what he looked like. And he was fucking absolutely banged up. He was in a trance, walking around, trying to hit on chicks. Didn't know what he was going on. He didn't know what world he was living in. I think he thought he was in some club in Rome because he was completely out of it. I don't know if he was on drugs or what, but he was completely out of it. And wouldn't you know it, the only person he actually did know at the entire bar was our old pal Tony. And these two were like thick as thieves, walking around, trying to hit on chicks. Tony would always come back like a Chili's manager, tapping the table, touching tables, come back to the Crusher to give his little sneaky comment about asses and titties and all that shit. And then they would be back out in the wild going after chicks and getting rejected. We watched those guys the rest of the night pretty much. The only thing that took our eyes off of that was when the bartender, when she was so nice to offer us, well, not only free drinks, but she provided us valuable intel. She showed us 2 individuals, a guy and a gal, 3 individuals. There was another person there. I'm almost positive it was a guy. Jury's still out. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Pretty sure it was a guy. Appearance of a girl. Definitely a guy. She shows us these 3 people and she's like, hey, just to let you know, those are porno stars. Real life porno stars in the wild, right there in real life. You can see them. If I wanted to, I could touch them. They're real. They're right there in front of us. And we did a very quick corroboration of that intel to prove it true, to vet the source. And they were, in fact, out there. They're in all the websites, folks. And I'm not going to provide their names because I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. All right. Maybe if you want to text me and ask me, I'll send it to you privately in a DM or what have you, but I'm not putting it out there. Just know they're real and they're very good at what they do. So that's sort of really we thought was going to end the night. We're like, okay, time to leave. It's late. We'll walk on Fremont, check out the freaks one more time. We'll grab a bite to eat, and then we'll wait for a taxi to take us back. And we're thinking the day is over. And I'm sure you're thinking, when is this episode going to be over? But it's not done yet, okay? This is only a weekend. We're on Saturday night, and we didn't even do all the craziness of Vegas. This is just us walking around and falling into these situations, okay? We get to this grease truck that sells like barbecue, brisket, tacos, and stuff. So we're like, fuck it, we'll try that. We'll eat. They had a little area you can stand and watch Fremont Street right in front of you while you're eating your tacos. So we did that. We grabbed these tacos. Now we're sitting out. We're watching the freaks. There's a guy to our right who's got no legs, and he's doing some sort of balancing act looking for money. There's the guy with the 5-gallon buckets making sounds on and asking for money. There's the chicks with booby tassels on, shaking and whipping people as they walk by. And then we got these two guys, 100% bums, probably on drugs. They were their shapes and what they looked like was as far away. Like there's a spectrum. Okay, let me try to explain this. There is a spectrum of what human beings, of what we are, what we look like, what constitutes a human being, a Homo sapien. Okay. I feel like on the far right side of the spectrum, you have the Adonis looking creatures, the ones that are just chiseled, beautiful people's club kind of thing, handsome Squidward kind of shit, where you just look at them, you're just, goddamn, they're humans. They're great. Women, men, whatever. And then on the far left of the spectrum are people that are only human because they're technically mammals. Everything else you look like looks-wise and what you see out of them is completely not human at all. The only thing that makes them human is that they're warm-blooded and they breathe oxygen and they're technically considered mammals. That's it. And this is what we were dealing with at the end of our night, eating our tacos with these two, I guess, gentlemen that were talking right in front of us. Couldn't hear a word they were saying. And that's the funniest part, I think, for me. One of the funniest parts where they were too far to hear what we were saying. So we're just guessing. And Crusher had me dying laughing because while we're sitting there just observing these characters, we got one guy with long hair. He was like balding, but he had a long, streaky serial killer hair, sleeveless shirt, like the disheveled. The other guy was bearded up, disgusting looking, had like a lazy eye. How you doing going on? Like a trick eye. And they're talking to each other. We're talking 30 minutes of a straight conversation. They looked like they were two strangers that walked by each other, stopped, and started talking. There was no indication that they knew who each other were. Knew who each other was. Is that grammatically correct? I don't know. Anyway, they were strangers in the night. They stopped. They must have been high on drugs, and they started having this combo 30 minutes straight. We stopped. We finished eating, and we kept watching. We didn't want to leave yet. Crusher, just out of nowhere, in the silence of it all, in the thick of it, just goes, what do you think their day is like? Like, what do you think a day in the life of one of these animals is like? Like, do they just get up off of their crack mattress and just like a regular guy? Like, hey, what shirt am I going to pick today? What am I going to wear today? Yeah, I'll go with the sleeveless pot leaf dream catcher shirt that I love so much. One of my 3 shirts. And I'll just slap that on. And then I'll go out and see who I can talk to. He had me dying. I can't recreate it because I won't do it justice, and it wasn't my material. I wish I was recording it because it was just so natural and off the cuff, talking about speculating, if you will, what a day in the life of one of these absolute cartoons, these barely humans, what it would be like. I was crying laughing. And the whole time we're still trying to figure out exactly what these guys are saying to each other because we have no idea. Like, what is so captivating that it has these two complete strangers talking to each other back and forth amicably, not fighting, for 30 minutes straight. Now, I shit you not. I'm sober as you can possibly be right now, okay? Walking by these guys. We purposely walk by them so that we can get towards the area where we're going to call a taxi and so we can hear what they're saying and so they won't suspect anything because these are absolute wild cards. Who knows what the hell they would be able to do when they're high on drugs to us. They could attack us. I don't know what if they have shivs in their pockets. What else? The needles. I don't know what's going on in there. They're too much of a wild card for us to take any chances. So we had to really approach this appropriately and do our due diligence before we made our move. So we walk by. I get close enough. I'm talking within 7 to 8 feet. Okay. Safely, of course. And I'm aware of my surroundings. I have Crusher as backup. The contingencies are all in place. Okay. This is not a half-assed operation here. I walk by to listen to what they're saying. As God is my witness, there was no actual words, like legitimate words in any language being spoken by these two individuals. They sounded like they were having an entire conversation in complete gibberish. Not one single regular word was spoken. It was like I was describing before, like in their heads, because they're so high or whatever, that they think everything is normal. They're having a normal conversation. Hey, how's your mother? Say this to her, this and that. In reality, in the outside world, in the real world of Fremont Street, these two assholes were completely talking in gibberish to each other. Like I've never seen it before. I've never experienced that. I walked by and Crusher goes, did you hear what they were talking about? And I just said, I go, no. They weren't talking about anything, dude. They were talking about nothing. They weren't even speaking in words. They were speaking in pig Latin, gibberish, tongues, whatever you want to call it. It was just sounds coming out of their mouths to each other. 30 plus minutes, guys. 30 plus minutes. More so than any of the gill flapping that I do on this stupid show. These guys were doing it and speaking no words. It was the most ridiculous thing that you can imagine for this particular situation. Completely out of left field. Didn't think for 1 second that these guys were just so out of it, out of reality, that they'd be having this conversation with each other, both of them not realizing that either one of them is not saying a goddamn word. And that's what you get in Vegas. This is what you get when you go out to these wild places and you take these chances with your friends, with people close to you, and you say yes to these opportunities. Now, we're bringing it all back here, folks. Remember what I talked about previously in previous episodes about instead of seeing things as hindrances or obstacles or anything like that, you see them as opportunities to learn, grow, experience shit. And this is what you get. When you say yes to these opportunities, great things happen. We didn't pay for a drink all weekend except that Mania at SummerSlam itself. We got one drink each. Otherwise, that's all we paid for drink-wise, alcohol-wise. We got free zip line. We got free publicity with Tantalizing Troll Tony. We shook hands with Booker T. We met Michael Jackson. We met Macho Man. We saw Clay Guida. We met Tony and Carmine. We met porno stars. And now we get to see freaks in the wild speaking in tongues, aliens, talking right out there in front of us. All from just saying yes to an opportunity and taking a chance and getting shit done. And that was our weekend. That's that. That's all I have to say about that. I don't know how long have I been going? Over an hour now? Just running my dick sucker about this. Yeah, I mean, and really, I didn't do it justice. You had to be there to see it for yourselves. When I'm rich and successful, or even when I'm just mildly, rich, where I can get a guy to just film me in the wild, like Tantalizing Tony, I'll be able to secure this content and footage for you so I can just put it out there one day. But that's it. That was Vegas. That was SummerSlam. Great experience. If you haven't gone out there, get the fuck out there immediately. It's a wild time. You won't regret it. Now, before we go, we'll go very quick with this because I know you want to get out of here, and it's 10:45 on a weeknight for me, a school night, so I got shit to do. I haven't even eaten dinner yet because I'm an idiot. That's what happens when you're an idiot. Don't be like me. Learn from my mistakes. Don't be an idiot. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. But before we go, big three, okay? Exercise every day. Find the time. Make it work. You won't regret it, okay? It's better for you physically, mentally, emotionally. We talked about it. You know it. Boom, done. Number two, hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person. Think about others as human beings. Understand what's going on in their lives and their worlds, how it might be different from yours. They have different struggles, different experiences. They react different ways. They are human beings. Think about that before you decide to be shitty to somebody. Okay? Number three, most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And show it. Don't just talk about it, be about it. Show the loved ones in your lives that you're so grateful for them, why you're so grateful and thankful for having them in your lives. Go hang out with them. Spend time with them. That's how you show them. Don't just tell them, show them. Be there for them. Say yes to opportunities when those people ask you to do stuff with them. When they provide you with those opportunities, take advantage of them. That's how you show it. If you get in that mindset of gratitude and thankfulness and appreciation, it starts a trickle-down effect in your lives. You couple that with exercising. You couple that with empathizing towards other people. You got yourself a recipe for success and happiness that's not just going to be for you. It's going to spread. The seed of goodness is going to spread across to everybody. So spread the good seam. Follow the big three. Thank you guys again for listening. I love you. I can't say it enough. I really can't. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you guys every week for listening and tuning in and giving the feedback and chiming in. I love seeing it every time. It's different people chiming in and doing their thing. It's great. So thank you for that. I love you all. Stay strong.